Let's begin today's webinar. As you can see on the screen, we're going to be talking about drawing Salesforce architect diagrams in Elements.cloud. Salesforce architect diagrams are a critical asset that needs to be linked to the other enterprise documentation and org metadata, and now they can be drawn, linked, and version controlled within Elements.cloud. Today's webinar is hosted by our very own Adrian King, our CTO here at Elements.cloud, and he's going to update you on our strategic partnership that we have with Salesforce, a short demo of the solution and what it means for the well-architected initiative. Thank you very much, everybody, and I'll hand it over to you, Adrian.
Leanne, thank you very much. Yes, well, thank you everybody for joining the webinar today. I am looking forward to talking through what we're doing within the product, within the Elements.cloud product, to support the Salesforce Diagrams notation, and why I personally think it's extremely important for extending the capabilities within our product offering. Most of the webinar today is actually going to be a demo of the capabilities that we're bringing into the product. But before we go into the demo, I literally just want to put a bit of context around why I think this is important. And I'm going to start with literally very high level what We're Elements are about, which is we think it's incredibly important that you build the right thing, and then you build the thing right. An enormous amount of focus goes on building the thing right, but I personally think that nowhere near enough focus goes on building the right thing. And what I mean by the right thing is ensuring that what the business needs to deliver business value is actually understood properly and is turned into a set of changes that you're going to implement into your org and potentially other systems to actually deliver that value in the system. Once you've actually got the changes determined correctly, you can then go and build it well. And if you do these two things correctly, you'll actually end up delivering a well-architected org. And it's something that we within Elements are very focused on in our own org, is trying to ensure that we actually architect it properly. That when we actually get a requirement, or in many ways it's actually a wish is what I would describe it from the business, we go through a process to actually get a genuine understanding of what it is that we need to build. And by having that genuine understanding, we can make sure we actually deliver real value to the organization. And to do that, we actually need the right tools and the right approaches. And that's what we are trying to do inside Elements, is provide you with the tools and the repository to allow you to genuinely understand the problem space and create the correct, well-specified set of stories that you can then go and build well within the org. So quickly, how do we think about this ourselves? Well, this is the process which we use within Elements. Don't worry about the box at the bottom, because clearly that's about setting up the Elements environment. But they're basically three steps. We ensure that we're going to build the right thing. We ensure we build the thing right, and then we've got to operate and maintain the technology landscape. And to do that, and do that loop well, which basically every organization out there is doing this in some form with different levels of rigor, but everybody is effectively doing this. You need to, as I said, have the tools to be able to ensure that you're doing this correctly. In the ensure you build the thing right, there are the deployment tools, the Capados, the DevOps centers, the gear sets, the products like that, and the testing tools like Provar, for example. Ensuring you build the right thing, there are Elements.cloud, there are a number of other tools out in the Salesforce ecosystem. And within there are a set of artifacts that you're going to build. There's basically capturing requirements, stories, but then there's ensuring you've got the processes defined, which clearly in Elements we use UPN to do. Then there's doing impact assessment when you understand the stories. One of the areas where we have been using Elements to do things like data modeling and context diagrams using our UPN notation, which isn't really what it was for. The UPN notation is designed to, as in the term, universal process notation, to define the processes. However, Salesforce Diagrams fills that gap there are a whole set of diagram types which you can now do properly within Elements by using the Salesforce Diagrams capability. So the thing that Elements provides is we're not just allowing you to draw some pictures. If you're just drawing a diagram, you're effectively drawing a picture that people can look at. Elements is all about creating a repository of connected artifacts. And those artifacts are the requirements, the process diagrams of the activities on them, the stories, the metadata. By linking all of these together, you can start to actually get knowledge and wisdom about what you're going to build and how the org that you're going to deliver it into is structured and the impact of changing that org. Bringing Salesforce Diagram support into Elements really is allowing us a new category of artifacts, which we can then continue to link into all of the other components and enrich the models that you're building to give you a better view and understanding of your org and the things and what you are going to do to change that org. So what are Salesforce Diagrams? Salesforce introduced the notation, I think a bit over 12 months ago. Yeah, a bit over 12, because it was launched really at the previous Dreamforce. And it's a simple but powerful notation for building architectural diagrams. It's actually incredibly complementary to UPN. So UPN on the process side, which we've supported now since Elements was launched, was designed as an incredibly simple notation, which allow you to build very powerful process architectures. The focus was not on the complexity of the notation. It's actually a very simple notation, but the fact it allows you to do powerful things with it. The thing I loved about Salesforce Diagrams when they launched it was it had exactly the same basis. It's a very simple notation. It's a bit richer than UPN, but it's still very simple, but it allows you to actually build incredibly powerful diagrams. And the idea behind it is that there's a framework of different diagrams that the notation can be used for, split into business-focused diagrams and technical-focused diagrams. There's the concept of 4 different sort of levels in terms of detail. There's a set of standard templates that Salesforce provides. If you want to know more about diagram and the frameworks, the URL here, as they will be sharing the presentation. But if you go to architect.salesforce.com/diagrams, you'll actually be taken into some really good articles about the diagrams and the reason for the diagrams. I'm incredibly excited by the extension of the diagrams into Elements. We are using it already ourselves to enhance the way we extend our own org. But interestingly, we also use the diagrams as we're building the Elements product itself. They're just as relevant to understanding the technical landscape and the business landscape, whether it's Salesforce or any other technology. So Salesforce Diagram support is going to be a core capability in Elements. It is actually a Salesforce notation, and we're delighted that we've signed a partnership with Salesforce to deliver this capability. And we're currently in the process of putting the Elements diagrams into the Elements product. The core capability is there. We're still in beta at the moment because we're just tuning some things with Salesforce to make sure it's fully compliant, combined with the fact that Salesforce itself is extending the diagrams capability very slightly, and we need to make sure that we're actually up to the latest level of the what Salesforce describes as their kit of parts. As I said, it's incredibly complementary with UPN, and it is integrated with all the other artifacts, the stories, the metadata, the documentation, etc. It is I think the best way to describe it is Salesforce Diagrams is a first-level citizen within the Elements ecosystem. So where are we with it? The current status is we're currently in a private beta. I know a number of you on the webinar have applied to join the beta. We will be inviting people to the beta in the next few weeks. Please bear with us as we work with Salesforce to ensure that they are comfortable that we can invite people in. We are very much working in partnership with Salesforce to ensure that this capability is fit for market right at the moment. So after that relatively short introduction, I'm going to jump into a demo here and take you through the notation and then show you some of the things that we've already built with the capability. So, right, I'm assuming that most of the people on the webinar here are familiar with Elements. So as you can see, down in the left-hand menu, we've introduced a new top-level menu item called Architecture. This is where you go to your architecture diagrams. Currently in this particular space, I haven't got any. So I'm actually going to go through the process of creating a new map. So when we're thinking about diagrams, we're still maintaining the fact that we can build a hierarchy of diagrams, a map within, it's an architecture map, not just an architecture diagram. So if I click on new map, I can give map name. Let's give this as I'm just going to call it a webinar demo, architecture map for demo, create. So we jump into our diagramming. It's exactly the same basic structure as we have for the UPN, but in this case, instead of activities, we're referring to cards. Salesforce, the Salesforce primary object is a card. So I'm afraid I'm not going to be building anything which is necessarily particularly coherent. I'm going to be showing you basically the capabilities within that we've put into the product here. So we have the concept of a card in Salesforce Diagrams. Card title. Let's build this as a sort of top level. We've got MuleSoft. If I could type. Let's Sales Cloud. Let's over here NetSuite or something like that. You know, so yeah, we've got a number of different components here. Now, I can select this over here. I've got the right panel as we have. I can add documentation, notes, URL. So let's just go and I'm actually going to start by just adding a quick note about, MuleSoft in the landscape. And I could add some details on this. So just like we do in the rest of in the UPN side, we've actually got the ability to add attachments. So we've got a little eye symbol here, which says we've got some additional information. But we can now go and add additional things here. We can go and add attributes. It's one of the capabilities of Salesforce Diagrams is you can go and add attributes. And I'm actually going to add a couple of attributes here. So this might be the, I don't know, we want some attribute of MuleSoft, which is, I'm afraid I'm going to be the A, B, C, D. And here I'm going to add X, Y, Z, just a couple of attributes here. Now, again, if I go across to the right panel for this, you'll actually see the attributes are here as attribute. There are attributes of the attributes. I can open this up. I can give a description. So this is the first attribute I added. Okay, and which is great. I've got. Let's go just fix that typo. Go and actually, and if I actually roll over that attribute, I actually get that as additional information in the rollover, a tooltip effectively on that item. And the important thing about this is that this is not just some text here. This is actually a model item in our database. And whilst this is the minimum viable product for Salesforce Diagrams, we've got lots of ideas of adding additional data to these attributes, types, but we can start linking these to fields in the Salesforce metadata dictionary. There are lots of things that we plan to do to extend the capabilities of things like attributes. The other thing clearly is, I can just drag and drop this. If I actually want that there, it moves. We can reorder the attributes as we go. Simple stuff, but actually really important for being able to actually make sure that you're building things correctly. I can go and add the footer text, so additional information. This is additional information about this card. And The other component on here that you can add are resources, the icons to the card. So I'm actually going to add the MuleSoft one. MuleSoft. So if I add MuleSoft to here, you'll actually see, fine, it's added MuleSoft at the bottom. We're currently changing this to make that the main on the activity. It puts it up there like a nice MuleSoft icon on the card. But I can also go and add a bunch of other resources to this card. You know, I'm just going to randomly select some more here and add those. And then the icons appear at the bottom, roll over them, tells me what they are. It automatically resizes the card to fit them. But I can actually resize the card to whatever size I want with, but I can't take it below the card size necessarily to get the data onto the card. So we can do this, you know, we could do this with all the other cards here as well. I'm not going to do that. Oh, I just added a line there. I'll come on to the lines in a second. Okay, the other thing that we can do with Salesforce Diagrams is you can actually nest the nest cards. So actually there's some additional data I want on the MuleSoft diagram. So I can go and add another card here. I can go and drag it in here. And this might be, I don't know, integration 1. And I can go, if I move this is now a child. Oh, no, sorry, I need to do something to say it can have children. So that, if I go to here and say make container, e.g. this one card is going to have children, I go and add it to there, I move it around, it's now a child of this. However, if I move, it's by placement, if I decide to move that so it's not fully contained, it's now not a child of that. If I move it back in, it's a child. If I go and add another one, I can go and add that there, integration 2. So I've now got 2 subcards around there. And actually, this is, you know, if I actually go and make this card a bit bigger, I could actually, if I really wanted to, put integration 2 within there. And then if I move that around, oh, I haven't made that, make that a container card, move this back to there. And then if I now move this, you'll see that actually that integration 2 is now considered to be a child of integration 1. Very simple, very effective. We tried a number of different approaches for managing it, and this was actually the easiest way for us to actually manage the container card, and it works very well. So those basically how the cards work. Now, let's actually start to think about our line support. So, you know, clearly you want to connect this. I can actually draw that this integration 1 is connected to there. I can actually choose the start endpoint. This is just going to be a line with a single arrow going that way. I can add text to it. So this is, you know, customer data is flowing in there and puts them a lozenge, which is part of the style. Now, it's also perfectly possible for us to add additional text at the beginning and end of the line. I can put start text there. I can go and change that to just start. I can add end text if I want. So there's ability to add additional text, which is part of the line. These are movable. I can move that over there. This presents some interesting challenges for managing a diagram. You know, if you decide to reorder stuff, if I click on the line, it will actually highlight for 5 seconds the items on it so that you can actually find stuff. In a similar way, if I'm not sure which line this belongs to, I click on it and it highlights the line. I know from experience that's incredibly useful when you're actually modeling to very quickly know what that actually belongs to. So we can actually define our lines. You know, we can move that there. We could redraw this. All the stuff which we do with our normal drawings, we can actually then go, actually, I'm going to reset the line. All the management of the line type drawing is built into the diagrams capability. There's one other feature that we've added, which I particularly like on the Salesforce Diagrams capability here, which is around interaction diagrams. I use interaction diagrams quite a bit myself to understand the flow through from one component to another. We can actually add an interaction here, and it just adds an interaction number. Okay, I can put that wherever I want to. It's interaction 1. Let me go and add another card here, and I'm actually going to add another flow line here. Put the end arrow on it, yeah, and I'm actually going to go that this is actually now another interaction. So this is interaction 2. This is the second flow here, and then let me add another card over here. So actually, and I'm going to draw a line from there to there. Add endpoint, end arrow, and add the interaction here. So that's interaction 3. Now, if I go to the card here, we've got a new, right, which are actually the 3 interactions here. I can actually add description. This is core data flowing to Sales Cloud. I could put whatever flowing into Sales Cloud, whatever I want on that. And again, if I roll over that interaction, you'll actually see that the rollover gives you that. So what we're trying to do is allow you to have on the diagram a lot more context. So as you can roll over stuff, you're going to get more, the diagram comes alive with more information. But there are things I can do here, which is, actually, I've got the interaction wrong. It's actually 1 where 3 is, then where 2 is. I can literally just move that like that. It renumbers it. And things where I've used tools before, where I have to renumber and I need to insert another one in here, it becomes incredibly easy to just reorder stuff and build diagrams which very quickly add a lot of power in terms of building capability. So what are the other things that we can do on the diagrams? So let's actually go, right, I want to drill into this. I want to actually have a sub-diagram around MuleSoft. I can literally drill down, create a new diagram. And here I've now got a new diagram. I can card, this is interaction 1 as a top level card, interaction 2, whatever we might want down here. We can now start putting on the sub diagram. And if I go over here, actually, this will take me back up to, and you'll notice now I've got the tab in the corner here. And if I go down here, so I can build a hierarchy of diagrams, and this hierarchy can be, as deep as we wish to go here. Add a card here. I can then go back up a level, interaction 2, to that one. You can see the tab. I can go back up here, and I'm back to my top level diagram. So it's very easy to build the diagrams, build information, add attachments. If I go to the attachments here, I added a rich text note. I can add a URL, attachment. I'm just going to go to the BBC website because I'm a Brit, so I use this quite a lot just as a demo. Fine. Actually here I've now got an additional, and when I go into view mode, here, and I roll over that, I actually just get, so end users, people using this would actually be able to click straight through, launch into the BBC website, actually bring up the description of that I've added to the environment. One of the other things around Salesforce diagram notation is the header. So I don't know if you've noticed, but in the corner up here, I've got this little template bit here, which if I roll over, actually allows me to define the header, title, bit of description, and then there's actually a legend place. I'm just going to move this zoom thing out of the way, down the bottom. And if I just click on there, I can actually anchor the toolbar, the header there. Now I want to actually add stuff to the header. So let me actually first off, I'm going to just go back into edit mode. I'm just going to put some more sort of styling on here. So I'm going to override the selected theme, and I'm going to change the box color to have a border color of, but it's red. Okay, so there may be some reason for this. I can then go, if I want to explain why that's red, I can go and add this to the legend. I can give the, red boxes, red box. Cool. And I can go cards in this color signifying XYZ. And if I add that, it automatically will add this to the legend, red box. And importantly, again, it will actually give more detail about it. So you can actually start building the legend out here. Let's go, and if I can add this to the legend, and I can go, this is a flow line, and I can add details to that. And you'll find that it's in the legend. I can reorder the legend, flow line before the red box. And importantly, I can also go to this box here, and I can actually go to the resources. I can go, actually, I want to add the commerce. I can add that to the legend as well. So I could actually go and add the icons representing resources to the legend if I want to make out which ones are important. And actually, as we resize, it will actually change the height. It's smart about understanding if I made the canvas smaller, canvas bigger. So it actually manages the header to make drawing the diagram very easy. And these headers, even though the header is off, you can actually, when you go to when you actually print the diagram, you can actually decide to, if you put it actually as a landscape, add diagram, map names, title, print this, actually it will actually put that on there. Or you can decide not to have the header, and it's clearly in landscape. So there, actually, you can actually print out if you wish to print this. So the ability to draw interesting diagrams. But what I haven't done here is start to link it to any of the other artifacts. So in this particular space, I've actually connected a Salesforce org, and you'll see here that it's a vanilla org. I haven't actually done any extensions to it at all, but I'm just on the account object. If I copy that node there, I can actually go back into this box here, and let's say that on Sales Cloud, I actually want to add org model node that I've currently got in the buffer. So it's the account object. I can give a reason why I'm linking this to Sales Cloud. You don't have to provide anything, but and I can attach this. And you'll see now I've got actually the Salesforce logo there. What I've now done is I've actually connected this card on this architecture diagram to that node in our metadata metadata dictionary. And if I click on it, I can see what I've got. And if I link on it, roll over it, I can actually click. If I click on that, that will actually go and open up the reference model associated with on that node. So here it is on the account with all the details. I've jumped straight to that metadata. I'm starting to build a connected set of artifacts. And actually, if I go into the documentation, you'll actually see that going the other way, if I was to go onto the account object now, I can see that actually I've got a link back to, and if I actually was to open this, you'll see that, and it's actually just flashing to tell me that that's what I went into. So there's an example of us starting to, we can link documentation, but we can actually link documentation from the card to metadata assets. And that doesn't have to just be org model assets. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the fact that in Elements, we could actually define our own trees of information. And, internally, we use this to actually our integration technology. We have a model of all our integration scenarios. We can link those to the card. It could actually even be things like compliance models. We're ISO 27001 certified, as you'd expect, of a SaaS provider like ourselves. The entire control hierarchy we actually manage within a reference model, and we can link those to our process assets and also our architecture assets if appropriate. So finally, I'm just going to talk about the fact that actually we could actually define change. Now, if we go and create a story here, add a new story, summary, add new field to count. We can give a description. I can select a release. I've actually created a release, and I'll show you something about the release management. Project X. It's in a week's time, and I'm just going to create that story there very simply. If I select it and go into here, I can copy the story. If I go into here, I could actually link this card if I wanted to story. Actually, I could paste the story on. I've now actually, I can explain why the story is linked to will be updated as part of the story, and attach that. And now I've actually got associated with the attachments, I've actually got a story as well linked here, which is currently in the being considered state. The point about this is this diagram is now not just a picture, it's actually linked deeply into the model that you're building. So enough of building. I just want to show you some of the things we've already done, rather than it being just a random set of boxes. So let me go to those of you who are familiar with the great work that the Salesforce Salesforce Architects relationship team has been doing of providing templates. And if I go to here, you'll see the template gallery where they've been providing, entity relation, the data models for whole areas of Salesforce, and also been providing, providing in the design patterns, standard design patterns. Hopefully it'll pop up in a second. Yeah, so publish, subscribe type architecture patterns, fan out, etc. We've actually been going through and building these into it's this tab here, isn't it? So, for example, if we go and have a look at the Sales Cloud overview, which is one of the templates, this one we've actually is an example of a level 4 diagram in Salesforce parlance, which is a data model. This is actually the Sales Cloud diagram built out into Elements. It's quite complex, but that actually reflects the complexity around the Sales Cloud overview, which is very much hinged around the opportunity object at the center, the account, quote, contact objects. And this is actually the underlying data model. And we've built out, I think so far there are 21 diagrams that we've actually built out. Actually, I think one of them is actually design patterns. It's actually us actually grouping all the design patterns together here. So it's actually a catalog of them. These will all be available to users of Elements. So as part of the basically a library of templates. I also then want to just show you a couple of other things that we've done. So we are using the architects and diagrams for some time. Many of you will know Zavary, who's our VP of product management. He uses our own product extensively to build Elements. He's using the architecture diagrams now, and I'll give you an example of this. If we go into, I don't know, our change records architecture here, he's using this to map out the entity relationship diagram for how this bit of the product works. And it's reasonably complex, but it's incredibly powerful. We're really, really excited how we're using this ourselves. And if we go into this, you can see how using attributes, we can actually format the color of the attributes. We're actually creating rich models which genuinely are helping us understand the problem space that we're working in right at the moment. It's been an incredibly powerful extension to Elements, and we're really, really excited about the fact we're able to use this. At this point, I'm going to wrap up the demo, and I'm going to hand back to Leanne to see whether or not we've got any questions that we can pick up.
Thank you so much. So yes, we do have a couple of questions at the moment. Got two at the moment. So if anyone does have any questions, again, if you want to use the Q&A functionality, that would be fantastic. I've got the first one here says, if I've attached some metadata diagram, can I see dependencies from the diagram?
You would actually have to go through, so you'd have to click through on the attachment back to the item in the metadata dictionary to see the dependencies. It's an interesting one because actually we could easily extend it. It's actually I actually like that as an idea, which is when we know we've got a piece of Salesforce metadata, we actually have the pop-up panel within the diagram. It would be very easy. We already on the story have opened the dependency tree. It'd be very easy to add that functionality. So I'm actually going to take, the good thing is it's being recorded and we'll go back through the Q&A. So
absolutely.
Whoever asked that question, thank you very much. It's a really nice feature request. I like that one.
Fantastic. Okay, we've got a couple have now come through from others. So process diagrams can be access free, but Salesforce connections and changes are pro features. Will these diagrams be part of the free Elements features or the pro features?
It's part of the pro features. Yeah, this is because this is tied into Salesforce and the Salesforce capabilities are part of our pro offering. This is including part of our pro capability.
Yeah. For the user story work item, is there any integration with, for example, Jira?
Yeah, we've got a good integration with Jira. It's sufficiently rich. I'm not going to jump back into a demo of it clearly, but yeah, the answer to that is yes. And actually, we're extending it all the time. But it's actually very solid. We use it ourselves. We use Jira we use Elements to do all our analysis of how we build Elements, and we use Jira tickets. And I think at the moment we're running to. I think we have about 10,000 stories and Elements which are mapped to 10,000 tickets in Jira. So we ourselves actually use it very extensively and it works at scale.
Excellent. Couple of other things. When is the expected in GA?
So I'm afraid I'm going to duck that very slightly because we're working with Salesforce to get this signed off. And it really depends on the availability of resources in Salesforce. We're pretty near. But it's still going to be a number of weeks before we can, and so I can't commit to a date, unfortunately. But I'd like it out there as soon as possible. But it's a fantastic partnership with Salesforce. But quite rightly, they want to ensure that it really is 100% ready for market before it goes out there.
Brilliant. Now, this might be a bit challenging for us to do this, but I'll share the question anyway, just so you can hear it. Can you please show how to use the built-in templates? It was very fast and I can't see them. And then also, can we get a recording copy? You will definitely be getting a recording copy. I can definitely send that to you, no problem. But it might be a bit challenging to go back into the demo. I'm not sure how you feel about that.
We've got a couple of minutes if you're okay, Leanne. I'm just going to share my screen again and I'll answer this more practically for people. Excellent. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen again. So I'm going to come back. I've got lots of tabs open now, so apologies whilst I actually go back to I think it's, this one, the catalog here. So the Salesforce Diagrams catalog will become a public space. By being a public space, it means it's available to everybody to search for this space, find it, and then you can access this space. Let's say I was interested in the, product pricing. I select that. I can literally just copy this map. I would select the space I wish to copy it into. You could say that, I'm actually not going to copy it, but I could select the Elements operations space. If I wanted to copy it, you'd be copying it into your space, copy, and that template would now be available for you to use in your space. So I hope that explains how it will be possible to take this content and deploy it so that you can start using it. So Leanne, back to you.
Yeah, fantastic. Brilliant. So I think that concludes. Oh, we've got one more. Sorry, one more just slotted in there, and we've got some time. So when two or more orgs are going to be merged onto a brand new org, can parts or all of the architecture diagrams be copied, pasted from org to org? Will be great to copy paste, then go through and check by linking to the right parts in the new org?
The answer is effectively yes. I mean, there's clearly some subtleties about how links work, etc. But yeah, the answer fundamentally is yes, you can do it, but you've got to make sure that you do it in the right way to make sure that you get what you want and what's linked to what. But yeah, it's very much part of how we've architected the product to be able to do that. There's lots of org merges are very interesting as a general concept in terms of things you need to do. Are you merging? Do you have a standard set of process and architecture diagrams? Because you can have multiple orgs in one element space, actually you can be linking the same diagram to multiple orgs if you wish to. There's nothing to stop you doing that. So if whoever's asked the question is interested in this, please reach out to our customer success group to follow up on that. It's not a trivial problem, merging orgs, and the support for it is. Yeah, I mean, we've definitely thought through some of the implications. I'm sure there's some we haven't thought through, but we've done our best.
Brilliant. And I think on that note, we can conclude the webinar. We've got no more questions, so I think that would be great. Thank you very much, Adrian.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for joining.